If you can buy the Harry Potter invisibility cloak for cash, sure, let's get mad about it. But
maybe that's what they were testing with the last update.
Yes, invisible players are coming back because it's gonna be a Zerachi service, an invisibility amulet.
You're a wizard, Vladimir.
You're a wizard, Vladimir. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I, for the first time today, heard a compelling argument for Flat Earth.
Is it the quote?
No.
Every time you get in an airplane, you get in a spacecraft.
Yeah, every airplane is just a fucking spacecraft because he's convinced that 35,000 feet is space.
It's gotta be, dude.
So, no, but this dude was arguing. You know how like string theory and all that shit involves like multiple dimensions?
Yeah.
You know, fucking 11 dimensions or 13 dimensions, space-time, whatever. Okay.
Yep.
This dude is basically talking about some like quantum shit that literally nobody listening understood.
Yeah.
And probably not even him. Although he did sound like he was intelligent compared to like the guy we just listened to who, you know, said that eons and ions hold the sun up from Earth. Ions and eons.
Eons and ions. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I was talking to a guy who has a electrical engineering degree.
Eons and ions, bro.
Yeah. And the guy was like, oh, you think they're more eons or more ions? He's like, oh, the moon is like more eons. The sun is like, oh, okay. Cool. But anyway, so this kid was this dude was talking about how there's something called like there's like a holographic universe theory.
Okay.
That actually like it's oh God. I literally heard about it from this crazy guy who was also like talking about the Illuminati and shit at the same time. So like take it for what it's worth.
But it was fascinating.
But in the same way that like string theory and math in multiple dimensions and all of these like translations between like different dimensionality in math can be like useful and interesting.
Yeah.
He's basically saying like there's a plausible sort of hypothesis that if the universe was some sort of holographic projection,
okay,
that was actually a 2D universe that was just what we were looking at was almost like fake 3 dimensions.
Okay.
And it was saying that there's whether or not this is bullshit, I do not know. I think it's probably like really fringe sort of theoretical physics that probably doesn't apply.
Yeah.
But apparently there's some interesting like it potentially could solve quantum gravity and could solve all these other like really challenging things like the cosmic inflation or whatever. But what the math shows is that like the universe would have to be basically like 2-dimensional. And that this would just be a 3-dimensional projection. And the guy was basically saying, so if the universe was a 2-dimensional projection, if it was actually 2-dimensional,
projecting in 3 dimensions,
the entire universe is technically flat, which means the Earth is flat. And it was like, that's the most coherent explanation I've ever heard, is that the universe is a hologram. That's the first time anyone's ever made a remotely compelling case for how the Earth could be flat.
And it's funny because it's flat on a technicality. It would be it would be agreeing that our perception of the Earth is actually round or spherical, but that on a technicality, it would technically be.
It's the equivalent of like we live in a simulation on like a DVD in some other universe. And like the DVD it's like flat disc shaped. So like basically effectively
That's
and I'm like,
great, though.
That's the most coherent thing I've ever heard. And it was barely coherent.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love how deep down the rabbit hole you're going. I'm sure there's just literal infinite content if you look up like flat Earth debate.
I mean, I've literally just been watching one channel Now, every Tuesday, this guy MC Toon, every Tuesday he does debates, and he's done it for like 5 years.
Dang.
So he's done
So there's
300-400
hundreds.
debates, and they're all just on YouTube. And I literally emailed him to basically said, like, listen, I love your content. I appreciate it. I wanted to like reach out as a professional courtesy. I would love to watch while I'm streaming, not trying to like leech react content.
Yeah.
But because first of all, it's educational as fuck. I've learned a ton about a million different things, from how to do surveying to math and physics. I've learned so much. But also, like, from a practical standpoint, I wake up in the morning, I work on shit for a couple hours, and then I stream all day and I go to bed.
Yeah.
I have to go through a decade's worth of science and topics and history, and I'm like, there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
So out of purely efficiency speaking, it'd be great if I could stream while also research at the same time.
Yeah.
And he gave me permission. He's like, yeah, man, go ahead.
That's cool.
So I've just literally been playing fucking lawn mowing sim, power washing sim, Heart Space, Shipbreaker.
And sometimes that's like the best way to retain information too, when your brain is just busy enough doing another thing. You know what I mean? I'm a super fidgeter. Like, I'm always.
Same. I mean, I'm sitting here with this.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I have this foot hammock. Literally, it's like attached to both sides of my desk, and I just like put so I can put my feet up and like lean back in my chair. Anyways, it's held up by these strings, and this string, I just literally sit and fidget with it the whole time we do the podcast every week. Like,
oh my god.
So, but doing stuff like that where you're like playing a little bit of a mindless game while listening to something like a podcast or something, I feel like it's a great way to retain the information too.
Yeah. And actually, Healthy Gamer, Dr. K?
Yeah.
So he had he did some discussion. I don't know if it was with Destiny or with a couple other people, but it was actually an interesting conversation about how he was talking about some kind of like slightly more Eastern, I think specifically like Indian sort of philosophy about the mind.
Okay.
And there was some Indian word that I don't remember, but it was basically describing like there's a type of person with this type of brain that is effectively like me and probably you, where it's like ADHD.
Yeah.
Where we like hyper focus on a thing and then for a while and then get bored on it and move to something else. And basically like how our education system and whatever, they force you to like, you have to sit and learn this one thing. And then you also have to do like 9 things all at once while at the same time doing like one thing. And he was basically saying how like it's really hard for people, especially kids, to like succeed in an environment where they're like forced to focus on one thing. Dude. He was really saying like, if you what works for people like that is kind of to do like what I have found works for me, which is like you choose like 3 things.
Yeah.
You go like super hard on one.
Yeah.
And then you move on to 2, and then you move on to 3, and then usually by the time you're done with 3, you move back to 1. So you're not completely all over the place.
Yeah.
But
for sure. We were talking about that the other day in chat. Legitimately, we were talking about how, because I asked, I was like, does anybody else hate school but love learning as they got older? Because that was like, I remember having that realization, and for a while I thought that like it was unique to me, and then I started talking to other people in real life, and like we were talking about it in chat, and it's like that's such a common thing, like detesting school, maybe doing really bad in school or something, but like later on in life, like I love learning. Like I love going down the rabbit hole of like espresso and learning like why you do things and what about the beans and what properties and where they come from and how things change and the history of it. And I've applied that desire to learn.
Imagine if you apply that to like physics or whatever.
100%. And it's not even just like games or tech, but like I've applied that in so many like random facets in my life. And it's like, and that was something that just like a lot of people in chat resonated with, where I was like, dude, I hated school, but I genuinely do love to learn. And of course, there's going to be some things that we have to learn that aren't fun to learn, that we don't want to learn. And of course, not everybody shares my experience. So I'm not saying the entire education system needs to cater to how I would have learned, or a few people in chat. But it is fascinating to think about that as I think about my own kids and how they act and how crazy they are. And like thinking about them, just like my oldest son is just like crazy. Like his new thing, dude. He's 6 years old. His new thing. It's a joke, but he goes, "I'm freaking out," and then he just runs around the kitchen nonstop. He's like a dog. He will not stop until we tell him to stop. He just like, and then I think about him in 6th grade, just sitting in history class for an hour. I'm like, he's not going to learn. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just fascinating to think about that. Where like, how can
in
you
elementary school? I always got. They had satisfactory. There was like S, C, and like F, and I always got like very bright, does great in class, but won't shut the fuck up and distracts the kid. And like I always got like negative marks on effectively like my behavior because I was always making jokes because I was fucking bored.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And so like, yeah, I think about that a lot. Where it's like, how do you harness that? How do I harness that for him at a younger age? Because obviously, you know, I can't snap my fingers and change the education system by the time he gets to 3rd grade. But I'm like, yeah, how do I get him into that? Because it felt like something that I didn't really like realize about myself until I was a little bit older, like out of high school when I had the time to like do a hobby and really get into it. And it's like, man, how do you harness that learning, that like desire to learn? Yeah.
I recently saw, I think it was a YouTube short, and I want to say it was Vsauce, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Where like my initial tendency whenever I think about this stuff is I always go, the stuff with me and with kids, especially now these days, has to be like technology overload. Like the dopamine and whatever, like that has to contribute to it. And whoever it was that I was watching was basically saying, no, that's just the new explanation for something that's around forever. Back in the day, you used to sit and talk with somebody, but you'd be staring at the birds or looking off at whatever. Like we've always been, and maybe that's true. I don't know, but I thought it was like, huh.
It's a fascinating perspective to think about. Like,
and it doesn't, looking at it that way at the same time doesn't make me feel like all the doom and gloom and like so nihilistic about like, well, we're fucked. Like, you know, we've manufactured with like technology and whatever, we've manufactured our own like downfall. You know, I mean, we have, but
for sure, it's
just one less thing on the scale. To move up a little bit, you know.
For sure. It's funny going back to, I mean, this was all kind of like a diatribe from the flat earth stuff. It's funny, the last podcast, like our last show, I named it flat earth, you know, and then 2 Tarkov things, because like sometimes I want to kind of let people know when they see the title of the episode, like, hey, we talked about some other stuff, right? And so like it was like a 40-minute discussion about flat earth before we got to Tarkov, so I put that in the title. And dude, I saw the comment first that said, you know, it's gonna be good when YouTube hits the podcast with the community notes, and I was like, what? And I
content warning.
I refreshed, and there was the little Wikipedia thing about flat earth underneath, and I was like, oh, hell yeah.
I've been meaning to check to see if, I don't know if that like negatively affects.
I was wondering that too.
Us and the algorithm or not. And it's hard to tell, right? Because maybe it could have been the title. And I mean, it got more than the arena launch video. And it got more than the last few.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's trending up. Like all the other episodes have been up longer.
I was looking at the For You. Like
I mean, it's trending in the right direction. I mean, it's like all the other ones have been up for a lot longer than a week, and that one is still competing. So it doesn't look like it's negatively affected it, but it was just, I found that to be hilarious.
You should see my flat Earth notes, Doc, because now the more and more I don't know if it's going to be my next video, but I do think I want to do a video on the whole flat Earth phenomenon. You should see my notes is already 9 pages long.
Oh, I believe that.
And it's incredible. Like the sections I have, it's like montage after montage. One is Flurfs are bad at math. And it's just one of the things that McToon is always saying is he goes, so you have a triangle of sides 1, 1, and 1. What are the internal angles? And because these people are, now that's something that like I would never hold it against someone for not knowing, not having, because how many of us have actually tried to do any amount of geometry or trigonometry or anything like that remotely within the last like decade. But these are people who are like, you fucking moron, you don't know anything about geometry. And he's like, okay, you have a triangle of 1, 1, 1, right? And the number of times that they're like 270 like just giving the 90 90 90,
oh classic,
like just giving the wrong fucking answers. So I have a whole list of just quotes and snippets. Their primary evidence is almost always memes.
Nice. Like real
like
memes.
Literally, it's like Facebook memes. They communicate via memes. 100%. It's just basically Facebook memes. They're all in Facebook groups, and it's all memes, just pictures. Like I think the one that you sent, or the one that someone posted in the podcast.
Yeah,
that's it. That's how they learn.
Yeah.
I got one that's asking for evidence and then rejecting it. The number of times they're like, show me a photo that shows this, this, and this. And they go, okay. And then they go, oh, I mean, I'm not going to believe that. But it's like, well, then why the fuck did you ask for it?
Yep.
And another one is their own citations always, 100% of the time, contradict what they're saying. Because they don't read them.
Yeah, it's just like a cycle of regurgitated. In this paper, it says this.
Yeah. So like they cite this experiment that was the Michelson-Morley experiment. That was effectively what it was testing was if the Earth is moving through the ether, the luminiferous ether, right? The energy, whatever.
Luminiferous ether.
Yeah. And the study determined it basically, for all intents and purposes, found no movement within any ether. And their conclusions were effectively, there's no ether. Because they know the Earth is moving.
Yeah.
But flurfs think that it's about that it proves the Earth is stationary. And it's like they say the second sentence is like we know it's moving.
Just fantastic. Just fantastic.
Or they'll show like high altitude balloon videos where they don't show the curvature of the Earth, and then like he just like scrubs to the middle of the video, hits play, and then instantly hits pause, and you just see like it's not like this, right? Like the Earth is fucking huge.
It's huge.
But he just screenshots it, pulls it into Paint, and you see like this. He draws a straight line, and it's like, and then they deny their own video.
Yep.
It's insane.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Truly incredible. You should make the video. I want to see it. You can be like the definitive, because that is another. So like the Billy Mitchell thing was like a lot of people were making a lot of Billy Mitchell content, but a lot of the content kind of required you to have some knowledge of Billy Mitchell or previous content. So your video was really nice because it was like the definitive. Yeah. You can come in not knowing anything and be entertained, or you can kind of know the story and be entertained because you're telling it in your own unique way. Like, I feel like there's a lot of that. Like, there's so many debates. There's so much this, that, and the other. But this could be the, like, definitive, like, flat earth.
Yeah, because so there's two other big, other than a couple of, like, the Netflix documentaries.
Yeah.
There's really been two big videos. There was H Bomber Guy.
Oh, yes.
Then there was Folding Ideas, the Dan Olsen video.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
And those were like 4 and 5 years ago now that those came out.
Yep.
Now, I went back and watched both of those within the last 48 hours, and I realized how little they actually talk about. Like none of it overlaps with the things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like 60% of Folding Ideas video was about like QAnon, like politics.
Yes. Yeah. His idea, his video, correct me if I'm wrong, but his video was largely about like, no, we shouldn't go easy on them. They're crazy people. And like went deep down the QAnon thing. And H Bomber Guys, a lot of it was like, these are just normal people. And this is how they get into these situations. And it's not a whole lot about like, this is what they believe. This is what they say. This is how they rationalize this. This is their physics for this. So
I want to talk about what do they believe and why.
Yeah.
And it's it's and then also comparing that to what does science believe and why?
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we know the Earth is round? A bunch of simple, obvious proofs that like debunk all the things. How do we know the radius of the Earth? How do we know the heliocentric model? Like all this stuff, and getting into each of those things, not super deep.
I'd watch the hell out of that video.
Dude, I was actually really surprised because watching, it's so funny how when you watch a video, your perspective changes how you walk away from it. Because I had already seen the Dan Olsen video.
For sure.
But this was like before I have gone deeper into it more recently. And he completely kind of changed my mind on how to deal with these people and what to think. And what his explanation was basically that a lot of times people say they want to debate with the flat earth people because the folks, they're worried that susceptible, gullible people might get roped into it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I thought about it. Like, it's worth having these discussions because the people on the fence, you know, you want to sway them in the right direction. And now my perspective is kind of completely changed. And I almost think now that there's almost nobody on the fence.
Yeah.
There are people that don't care. And they're just not interested.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are sufficiently educated enough that they like know the science and the truth and whatever. And Dan Olsen's idea was effectively, you have all of these people that deny vaccines. 9/11 was an inside job. We didn't land on the moon. JFK was assassinated by like Mickey Mouse or whatever the fuck. And, you know, all of these things, they subscribe to all of these crazy, wacky, disparate conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And what flat earth is a way to pull all of them together and to encompass the it's almost the closest thing they have to proving their crazy worldview, that there is some malevolent force out there. Because think about it, if they could scientifically prove, if we knew the earth was flat, that proves everyone is lying to us.
Yeah.
And that justifies
makes all the other conspiracies seem so much more likely if we know that the government and NASA and every scientist ever has been lying to us. If they've pulled off that heist, what else have they pulled off?
Of course, the 5G and the medicine is all there to control us. And of course,
the
Freemasons did 9/11, you know, whatever, right? So now it's like, oh, I'm like kind of discarding the whole idea around like trying to convince people on the fence, because those, what he argues is it's kind of a facade. The people who were like, I used to be a Glober, but then I like watched some memes and that kind of like made me question things. What they really are saying was, before I used to spend all my time on like Lizard, Serpentine, Hillary Clinton email scandal forums, and now I spend all of my time on Flat Earth. Right?
Yeah.
And this is just their justification for something that seems slightly less crazy.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Dude, I want to watch that video. I want to watch that video badly.
I've been talking to a few folks. I want to do some kind of real world, at least one. I'm going to do a bunch of experiments that I can do, but I want to do something like, I live near Mount Washington, which is the highest peak. It's like almost 7,000 feet. The highest peak in New England. I mean, I live near Lake Winnipesaukee. I'm like, I want to do some kind of experiment where I do proper controls. I control for confounding variables. I fucking do all the things that no flat earther doing science does.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I'll go between two mountain peaks, shine a laser and see the curvature. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to do something.
Do something. That'd be sick. That would be sick.
But I don't know if anybody has any ideas for something I could do that would be novel, and I'd be willing to spend some money and maybe do a little bit of traveling.
All right. I don't know what experiments to do, but I'm in. That's sick.
There's a football field down it's near Louisiana. maybe it's Mississippi, I think.
Okay.
That they've constantly that flat earthers go to, and they try to explain how, how something goes over the horizon, it disappears bottom first, like a boat.
Oh.
Right? Which is like only makes sense if there's a curve, right?
Yep.
Well, they say that that's just normal perspective, that when you move things away from you, that perspective dictates not that their angular size shrinks, that everything gets smaller, but somehow that the bottom.
Of course.
So, and they do it by putting like a camera in a weird place on a table, move it away, and it's like the camera's not like the camera's like too low or too high. Like, it's just they always do it badly. And one of the ones that they did that was like supposedly super compelling was in Mississippi. There's like a college football field or high school football field where they put the camera on like the goal line, and you see the guy walk over the 50-yard line, and you see it's like it looks like this.
Oh.
Where all of a sudden, up to like a little bit up his calves is hidden behind 15 feet, or actually it's probably 80 yards of, and it's like that's proof that that's how perspective works. And I actually am like considering going to Mississippi, hiring surveyors to show that the fucking field isn't flat.
Yeah.
Like, what makes them think that like grass has to be flat? Like, it's probably just not a flat football field.
That's wild.
So I kind of just want to get some professional surveyors to be like, nah, dog, this is just not
just
flat.
Got a little bump in the middle.
And again, it's not going to convince any of them. That's not the point.
No. Yeah, but that's not the point. Yeah.
Anyway, enough flat Earth.
I love it. I freaking love the random things that you get interested in. I don't know. We did have quite a bit of shenanigans happening in Tarkov this week, but before we hop into that, I do want to take a second and thank the first sponsor of the podcast this week, and that is BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform where you can find somebody to talk to, get counseling, get therapy. It's phenomenal. It is wonderful. Therapy is a hugely important part of my life. My relationship with my wife, very early after we got married, we went to therapy for many years, and I can literally say 13 years married that is like one of the most influential decisions we ever made. A relationship that I, obviously cherish and value so much. Spending that time with somebody, having somebody else to talk to, having a third party was like literally game changing for us. It was wild.
Yeah. I still go to therapy. And I always look forward to Saturday mornings, because that's like literally just I always have like a mental reset when I'm able to like throw off whatever bullshit is messing with my head, whether it's professional or whatever. Anybody and everybody can benefit
100%.
from talking to a professional. So yeah.
For sure, because I think a misconception, whether it's a relationship with another person or just life, is that like if I'm doing it right, it should be easy. If I'm doing my relationship right, things should be easy. If life is going well, it should be easy. And I think that that's not at all true. I think what makes life feel fun and easier to deal with is directly linked to how capable we are and equipped we are to deal with things as they happen. And having somebody to talk to through some of the harder things has equipped me and my wife in this instance to deal with things, and that makes life easier. So BetterHelp is great as far as like the technical side of it. It's all online, which makes it super easy to schedule appointments, even like take notes or send notes to your therapist. It makes it extremely easy to, if you don't vibe with somebody, even they want you to vibe with the person you're talking to and feel like you can build a real connection. So it's super easy to switch to somebody else until you find somebody that you think works best for you. So it's awesome. And we're excited to be partnered with them. So you can visit BetterHelp.com BetterHelp.com/podcast today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp.com/Pogcast to get 10% off your first month. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Okay. Tarkov. Woof. Woof. Okay.
I was just saying right before this that now obviously a lot of this is me assuming a lot from what I see like on Twitter and stuff, but also from talking to a lot of my Tarkov community friends. And this is topical. Wasn't even on the list, but I feel like it's relevant after, especially after that.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Well, someone was saying something earlier about like, Tarkov drove you so crazy that you're out here like mowing virtual lawns. And I basically was like, I forget exactly how we got there, but I wanted to point out like how many the community would be incredibly surprised to know just how many of the content creators are willingly and knowingly and understandably completely ruining their mental health by continuing to make Tarkov content and to stream it.
Yeah.
And how many of them do not want to play the game, but they kind of have to.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like that's like something as like a PSA to talk to like the community for whatever it's worth. Just keep in mind that.
So we said this is an intervention, Jesse. They're looking at
me. how damaging, and how challenging, how frustrating, whatever it can be to like live in this world all day, every day.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about judging, talking to content creators, because every day I see 5 more tweets from 5 different ones of my friends being like, I'm really mentally struggling. Dealing with playing Tarkov. I don't know if I can do it anymore. And it's hard enough for me when I don't need the money. I don't care about the viewers.
Yeah.
It hurts the ego a little bit.
For sure.
Admittedly, a little bit to like have 100 viewers rather than, 500 viewers.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I don't need it. Whatever.
Yeah.
The people that do, they have to pay their bills. It relies on that. They don't have the luxury of being able to do what I'm doing right now, which is saying, fuck it, I don't care. I'm going to play a game that I enjoy playing and chill out and have a good time because I don't need the money and the viewers. And not everybody is fortunate like that.
Yeah.
So
for
just some perspective I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny though, because like, I'm sure you get all the time, maybe not so much anymore, but initially when you like really started taking big breaks on Tarkov was like, why aren't you playing Tarkov? When are you going to come back to Tarkov? Why aren't you like what's going on? But when it's funny because when you read the comments on any one of those tweets, somebody's like, my mental is low. Like the comments are like, stop playing Tarkov, idiot. Just don't play Tarkov. Don't play Tarkov. And then it's like, I was playing Helldivers 2 and people are like, no more Tarkov. You're not going to play any Tarkov today. It's like, bro, do you see the cycle? Like, it's wild. But yeah, it is fascinating.
Yeah, of course, most people don't like their jobs. A bunch of people talking in chat saying, yeah, but most people don't like their jobs. Yeah, well, most people don't like their jobs and don't have an audience of hundreds of people watching them not have a good time during their job. Yeah. So keep that in mind. You don't have 100 people judging you 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for 5 years straight, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
No, it's funny. You can definitely see, some of the cracks slipping through this wipe. You know what I mean? Like the vibes were at a literal, potentially all-time high after this wipe, like across the board. The community, Twitter, Reddit. I mean, it was like this wipe. The vibes were at an all-time high, and you're starting to see the cracks, which like we've been playing long enough to like expect that, right? Mm-hmm. And we had this conversation after the wipe, and it's like. These were all phenomenal things, but it still comes back down to like the core issues with the game are largely unchanged. You know what I mean? Recoil was a big issue, but like not as big of an issue as like audio, right? You know what I mean? And so like those things can only kind of like stave off that Tarkov, whatever you want to call it, Tarkov depression or whatever, for so long. So I'm starting to see like people tweet like, I'm starting to feel the burnout or all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I get it. I really do. Like me too, to an extent. So,
you know how Twitter has like a related tweets feature?
Yeah.
I tweeted something about like, I'm like, everybody's complaining about Tarkov and I'm out here like, mowing lawns or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that underneath was like a similar tweet. And it was like a one peg tweet where he basically said like, so we're 3 months into the wipe and now's the point where blah. It was from 2 years ago. And I'm like, you
read the related tweet. It made sense for right now. And then you were like, oh, wait.
It was from like at least a year ago. And I was just like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the recurring cycle. And it was just so funny. I was like, holy shit, so dude.
So it's like, I'm not even, it doesn't make me sad. It doesn't surprise me. It's like, it's just where we are in the wipe. You know what I mean? It's I fully expect it. I know a lot of the people that play, this is about the time of the wipe where a lot of the people that do variety start breaking back out into variety. And the people like me who, like you said, I got bills to pay. I want to keep doing it. I start branching out and doing weird stuff to just like keep myself engaged and have fun. I think it's a big like light bulb moment I had these past like 2 weeks was for my whole content, for like my whole channel, my whole brand, was that like I had just gotten to the point where I was just like letting being frustrated at Tarkov kind of like wear me down. And that affects everything. It means that I'm making less content like on YouTube, and it means my streams are just like the vibes are generally lower. And I found that if I have an idea for like a YouTube video where I'm like we did the Iron Man challenge or the Keter challenge, when I'm doing those things, the Tarkov bullcrap doesn't bother me as much because I have like a goal or a purpose or like I know this is going to be a video, so I want to make sure that like the vibes are super high. And it's one of those things where it's like a win-win where like if you pop by my stream that day, I'm so much more like focused and in a better mood. And then as a result of that, I can make better content for YouTube. And so I kind of like had that realization where it's like I need that like vision. And that vision isn't Kappa anymore. That thing to do isn't Kappa anymore. That has the literal exact opposite effect. If I hopped on tomorrow and was like, okay, I have to go hit 63 headshots with a bolty and get Shooterborn in Heaven done, I would rage instantly. Like it has to be outside of Tarkov for me. You know what I mean? So and that is true. Like somebody said it in the chat. Quite a few streamers who would normally have tapped out are still playing. I definitely agree. Like it's and that is a testament to how good this wipe was. Like Summit is going for Kappa and he hasn't gone for Kappa. Like he's had Kappa one other time and he's going for Kappa. Deadly's back going for Kappa.
But also like while the same token, and both of these things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Both Deadly and
Summit
and Summit are tweeting like, I want to get Kappa so I can be fucking done.
Yeah. It's a testament to how good the wipe was that they even set those goals, but it's a testament to how poor the core of Tarkov is that both of them are like wondering if they can achieve those goals. So exactly, both can be true at the same time. And so this is still, I would still say, the greatest wipe since 2018. This is the greatest wipe, the most positive changes in a single wipe. It's just the analogy we've used all the time where like all of those positive changes exist on top of 4 core issues in the game that have been in the game since its inception, especially since 2018, 2019. Cheaters, audio, netcode, desync, those things, all these other amazing things, they just sit on top of those things. So we can appreciate them. And I can still say this is the best wipe I've been a part of ever. And I'm having a ton of fun. But it's like, man, what it does though is that it makes me even more so like if they can ever address these things underneath, the game is just going to be the best. You know what I mean? It's like just going to be the best. So So yeah, so like today I was doing, instead of viewer kits, because if I want to make content out of it and I do viewer kits, people just lose their mind. So I did viewer builds. I had people just submit in a Discord just a picture of a gun, and I'll pay for it. I build it, and then it's like I use the gun for one raid, and then I rate it 1 through 10. And just like my ratings, it's like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. My rating scale is based on how sexy.
Hot guns.
Yeah. Yes. It's based on how sexy it looks, how well I did in the raid. Like that shouldn't determine what I rate the gun, but it does, because if I die immediately, you're getting docked. Like just because it's funny. And it was like I played solo today. I played solo Tarkov for 7 hours and had so much fun. So much fun. Just that tiny little thing adding on top. Just cuts the bull crap. Doesn't matter. I died to desync 2-3 times.
You playing for you,
yes,
as opposed to you playing what the game wants you to play, and the game doesn't want you to fucking enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on purpose.
Yeah, yeah. So so it was a blast. But yeah. Anyways, so we had some things happen. What's today? Thursday. So Tuesday morning, Monday night, they hit us with hey, we're doing a patch tomorrow morning. Game's going to be down for a few hours. Tuesday morning, they do the patch. They send out the patch notes. They did a lot of armor stuff, reworked the damage through layers of armor. Now, when each layer is penetrated, the bullet loses some penetration power and damage depending on the characteristics of the penetrated armor. Fixed an issue with missing blunt damage when hitting a ballistic plate.
The first one is what used to happen.
I thought that was what was supposed to happen the whole time. Blunt damage now decreases when there is soft armor behind an unpenetrated component. Adjusted the head colliders, eyes and ears. Remove the possibility of bullets to pierce through character's thorax and stomach. Thank Christ. Added the fits existing. Blah 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 blah. So a lot of armor stuff, which is great. That was such a quality of life. You double click on a plate. You know how you double click on like a compensator and there's a little drop down. It's like all the guns in your stash it'll go on. Yep. They didn't have that for the plates. But they added it. And it's like, that was just thank God, because some plates don't fit in some things, whatever. So No Food After Midnight did some testing. The patch, what we'll end up talking about, the patch wasn't live long enough for any extensive testing to be done. But apparently this is secondhand. No Food After Midnight spent some time doing some testing, and his cursory findings were that the armpit hitbox was shrunk, that the ears hitbox was smaller, the eyes hitbox was smaller. As far as he could tell, I don't have an answer of how he tested this, how thoroughly it was. As far as he could tell, fragmentation had been removed. Once again, I don't know. But as far as he could tell, fragmentation had been removed. And this is just someone told me what he said. I don't even know if he tweeted this out. Anyways, lots of changes. Airwing did a little bit of testing too, and was like, he's like, I could tell that a lot of things were different. The things that get me are excited are smaller armpit hitbox, smaller ear hitbox. That was a brutal one. You have some clips where right here hits the ear and the ear's part of the head, so dead. You know what I mean? And it's oh, crazy. So a lot of armor changes. Cool. Added contact shadows to the BTR and updated a visual effects for the machine gun BTR fire. I thought I saw this, dude. I think they added a little red light when the BTR's mad, which is so needed. I think they added a little red light when they when the BTR's mad. We had adjusted the recoil pattern parameters for pistols, shotguns, and the SKS. Bro, did you see any of the clips?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brother, I truly don't understand what happened there. In my world, I have to justify it as they wanted to change Nerf pistol recoil by 4% and added a 0 and did 40. Like
They added like 2 zeros.
it's the only.
It's like worse than it used to be.
It's for some. It was crazy how different it was for pistols. Like if you took a 5.7, you were like, oh man, they nerfed recoil. But then if you took a Beretta M9, you were like, what? Like I have a clip, you know, the little yellow poppers in the hideout. Like me aiming at the middle of it. Like that's where the irons line up and the shots were hitting the top, the head. And I was like it was crazy, dude. It was crazy. I don't know, man. That was one of those things where I was truly just like, I personally hadn't seen a single person complain about recoil, pistols being OP. I hadn't died to very many pistol runners. I hadn't seen very many pistol runners. But what I had seen was tons of tweets and tons of people in chat saying, I'm so glad pistols are viable now. So as far as I could tell, which I don't see the whole community, everyone was happy with pistols and nobody thought they were OP. And then they made them worse than the previous recoil system temporarily. Now, I'm coping hard that that's one of the reasons why they rolled it back, because they broke that thing, and I hope it doesn't come back. I don't understand why they would even touch it. I don't even understand why they would have even adjusted it 1%. Because everybody that like, there were definitely, it was so funny because I didn't hear a single person say pistols were OP, but I heard quite a few people defending the nerf while the patch was live, which I found to be weird because I was like, none of you guys were complaining about pistols, but you're all showing up to be like, well, you know, they were too OP or they need to do this.
Oh, wait. Sorry. You said you saw people defending?
Correct. Yeah. So I'd never seen anybody say pistols were OP. But then when they did the patch and I was complaining about it, a lot of people, not a lot, a few people were like, well, this, that, and the other, that, you know, pistols are still good, man. Like you can still use them. And I was like, dude, what are you
Those are just the nuh-uh Andes, bro. If you had said you were happy with it, they would have said why it was bad.
Yeah.
So
because the thing was, my argument there was like, the SMGs are better. Like the SMGs are as good as the like old pistol, not old pistols, the good pistols, where they are right now after they rolled it back, like after the recoil. So it's like, I don't understand how you could ever, like, how can you nerf a Beretta, even though the Beretta shoots super flat, like right now under the good recoil? How could you nerf the Beretta and not the MP5 that has a 15-round drum mag and is full auto? How can you nerf the Shrimp but not the SR2, which shoots flat? You don't even have to move it. How can you nerf the 5.7 and not the MP7? Like, that's what my thing. Anybody that came up to defend the pistol nerf, I was like, even when pistols were the best they've ever been ever, the SMGs shot as flat as the pistols. So how the hell could you justify that the pistol needs a nerf? You know what I mean? It was crazy. And I don't think the pistols do or SMGs do. I think SMGs are in the best spot they've ever been in Escape from Tarkov. And I think pistols are in the best spot they've ever been in Escape from Tarkov. So yeah,
recoil is not a problem in the game right now.
No, I don't know. I hope that they never, ever bring that back. Few other things. Adjusted the sound positioning system of Ground Zero and Streets of Tarkov. I never really got to like test that. They also took a bunch of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the plate carriers, got their soft armor, the aramid underneath, moved from level 2 to level 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is good. That is one of the defining characteristics of what armor is like good in the current meta, is like what plates does it take and what's the aramid? Because that's a pretty, when you're talking about like protection from scavs or SMGs or pistol caliber bullets, the difference between class 2 and class 3 protection is pretty significant, right? Like PST-GZH has 21 pen. So class 2, not really standing a chance. Class 3 might tank a few shots. So that's a pretty decent sized change, especially since that's the underneath. And so the fact that 8 of the armored rigs got that bump up to class 3, I think is a good thing. I don't think it makes anything necessarily OP. I think it just adds variety to what people are actually going to use in the mid game and in the late game. So I thought that was great. Now, before we talk about the next part of this, we'll go ahead and say that patch ended up being rolled back 24 hours later. Oh, also they got rid of the snow.
Rest in peace.
No, praise God. I was ready.
People were ready. I didn't play enough of it.
No, I know. It's straight 50-50. It is straight 50-50. A lot of people...
Is there going to be like rain now where it's sometime like it should just be like that where...
It hasn't rained one time since they got rid of the snow. I played for 2 days. It hasn't rained one. Shush. Never bring it back. But I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be seasons. We were all wondering if there was going to be like spring and then summer, and then there's going to be like fall where the bushes like get a little bit thinner. We don't know. They talked about how they wanted to be seasons. They did not define what that meant. Is that snow season, not snow season? Or is that like spring, summer, winter, fall? I don't know. But they got rid of the snow, and it like Tarkov looks so good. I love it. I loved the snow. I was just ready for it to be done. I wasn't like a snow hater the whole time. I loved the snow. I was just personally ready for some grass again.
I feel like, it should have been a weather effect. Then people wouldn't have gotten sick of it.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been something that...
Yeah, that would have been fascinating if like in the winter season, it's not necessarily snowing all the time, but it can be snowing. You know what I mean? That would be fascinating. Anyways, so I understand that people liked the snow. I liked it. I was just ready for it to go. It's gone. Anyways, the patch was rolled back 24 hours later, which they have not done very often. Like I feel like they did that once mid last year, and they did it again. They really haven't done that very often. They never stated exactly why the patch was rolled back. There were a few things that were happening. One, pistol recoil was atrocious. Two, the frames were gone. They were just gone, especially on streets.
Oh, really?
It was crazy. I don't know. A lot of people were like theorizing that it was like we didn't realize how much the snow masked, like, because there were like so many less textures. There was no grass. There were no leaves. There were no trees. And so when they flipped that back, I think that maybe was 20% of why the frames were bad. But like on streets, it was like 40 frames unscoped when I'm normally at 100. Like
Yikes.
Something was happening. It was really, really crazy. So there was really, really bad frame drops. The pistol recoil was something people were complaining about. I also heard that the invisible players were back. I never experienced that, but I heard that was back. The bug that was at the beginning of the wipe that they had fixed, where you get an awaiting session start perma bug on your scav, they had fixed that. That was back. My first scav rate of the day when the patch was there, that was back. So they never stated why they rolled it back, but there were like 3 or 4 big things that were going around. For all we know, none of those were the real reason. Maybe there were some back end things. Maybe like a cheat I don't know. Like, because they never stated it, I can't sit here and say they rolled a patch back because of this. But I can guess that there were like a few contributing factors, but they rolled the whole patch back. Additionally, by the way, they fixed a lot of the vaulting exploits, vaulting into some of the marked rooms and a lot of the rooms on Shoreline. But that got rolled back too. So it was overall, the unfortunate thing is that it was overall a really solid W of a patch, minus the recoil adjustments and the bugs. And whatever it was, they had to roll it back. So like the hitbox changes, I think, is a huge W. Some of the armor changes were, in my opinion, a huge W. The change to the BTR, the change to the armors, a lot of the stuff, the fixes for the vaulting, but the whole thing had to get rolled back. We don't know when the patch is going to come back, and we don't know if they're going to bring back the recoil changes or not. But it was unfortunate that the perception of the patch was so bad because the performance was so bad and because the pistol recoil was so bad that like a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realized how much of a W that patch could have been. And I'm not saying that their frustrations were even unjustified. It was justified. The performance that day was terrible. Some of the bugs were inexcusable. But I'm just saying I hope that they like figure it out and bring some of this stuff back because it was actually some really good changes sprinkled in there. However, the other thing that was talked about the most was in the near future, the in-game stash expansion and access to the practice co-op modes will become available for purchase in the profile page on the official Escape from Tarkov website. Purchase of additional stash lines will be available regardless of game edition. Purchasing access to practice mode co-op will be available for all editions. For Edge of Darkness owners, the ability to play in practice mode is available by default. And the internet exploded with Tarkov, microtransaction, yada, 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 yada. What did you hear and or see about this stuff?
You know what? The way I feel about it is, imagine you had like a crazy ex.
Yeah.
And she got arrested again for like drunken, like public intoxication and, has a bunch of charges for like slapping a police officer and whatever. And you're just like, I'm not surprised, but like, I also don't.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand, I guess, the why and the what and the whatever. Like, I'm trying to remember if I saw this from BSG, if I dreamt this, or if this was like someone else's justification. But it seemed like they were I think it was one of them basically saying like, hey, listen, Tarkov is different. It might have been Nikita tweeting. So where he basically said like Tarkov is a different model than a lot of other games. Like, we need money going forward. And it was basically like, how could you need money?
Yeah.
Bro? I don't. How the fuck could you possibly need money?
So that was right after those patch notes went up, not too long after. Nikita posted on Reddit the title was about purchasable stuff. So the thing is that we want to add purchasable options for EFT players because we removed EOD and some EOD features need to go back, like offline co-op. And B, the game has been running for 8 years without any additional flow. You just buy it and play forever, and that's a pretty unique situation for a game such as EFT. In the upcoming patches, we want to add stash expansion for every version available, parentheses, up to 28 additional lines of stash space, which is a lot. 2, clothing early unlock. And 3, ability to play offline co-op. There will be no in-game money, items, weapons, gear package purchases, and so on. No boosters as well. Also, about stash expanses, later you will have an option to earn those lines in-game too without spending money. Tell us what you think. So there's a lot of different facets to this to talk about. You had mentioned that how the hell do they need money? I don't disagree with you that I feel like they've sold enough copies of this game and probably an insane percentage as far as the industry goes of the highest edition of the game. Like, you know what I mean? How many people bought the $150 version of Diablo as a percentage point of the total players versus how many people bought EOD? I think Tarkov is probably one of the most successful deluxe packages of all time.
When you get killed by a white name, always stands out because it's of how uncommon it was for years and years and years.
There's a stigma that if you didn't buy the biggest copy of the game, you're probably a cheater. That's crazy.
And then picture like Call of Duty, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. Not only did they have servers running for years and years and years and years, right? But they also had to physically print discs, buy the packaging, ship them, have stock in GameStop, and Tarkov is a digital thing, so they don't have, and they're a tiny company, not tiny, but like they're not.
Yeah, they're
I mean,
not
I don't know how many
Activision.
developers. How many devs worked on COD 4? 100 people over the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
Like dude, I don't know, man. Like,
well, here's the thing.
I
agree that I don't understand how they need money. The flip side of that is I also. Am I gonna get fried for this? I don't disagree with Nikita's statement that it is unique. That this is a game where you just buy the game and you're done. Like in today's landscape, it
like
is
DayZ.
It is kind of wild. Yeah, but there's DLC for DayZ that you can buy. I mean, there's mostly just mod support. Here's my thought. I had always assumed that they were going to monetize the game in additional ways. This isn't that big of a deal to me. I don't think
why
you're
it's
saying
noteworthy is because Nikita explicitly said so many times there will never be microtransactions. So now when they add one, even though it's not,
okay, I see what you mean.
Even though it's like, I don't think it's problematic.
Yeah.
I literally, if Nikita hadn't said basically, well, we don't have any further revenue, kind of made me think like, well, wait a minute, like what the fuck?
That I think that's, I wanted to be clear. I wasn't saying you were saying that those microtransactions were a big deal, but because what you were saying was like, if you were saying you'd respect it more if he had said we want more money, as opposed to like we need, like kind of
we
insinuating,
want to do really cool shit and expand, hire more people, do arena, whatever.
But to insinuate that like we kind of need it because we don't. You're like, okay, when friggin' how is that even possible? Which I get. So I'm not denying that, and the thing is the thing I have the most kind of like hesitation about is the clothing, because that feels the most like microtransaction-y. Because he said in the clothing early unlock, I'm assuming that just means I can purchase the Urban Responder pants for $5 or whatever, and then every wipe I can just equip those, right? I don't have to like get to level 55 and buy them for 6 million rubles. I can just equip those pants. That feels the most like microtransaction-y to me. So I'm like, but I'm not. But like, and maybe I'm coping, but I don't see them having this I don't see them having this giant cash shop with like clothing rotating in and out. I think it's like the clothes that are in the game you can buy early access to. Apparently in a comment on the Reddit thread, Nikita said we'll never sell the tracksuit. Like you have to earn that. I don't know. I just don't care. With this, but it's so funny though, because like most of what I heard about the microtransaction thing was the stash lines. Like people were just like super mad you could buy extra stash lines. And it's like, you could, ever since Tarkov's ever been in the game, you could buy extra stash lines. It was called Edge of Darkness.
Yeah.
It was not just that. It was that and Gamma and Trader Rep. But you've always been able to buy extra stash lines. Here's what I was saying. Do you know how many times since they got rid of EOD, I have been asked, when is EOD going to come back? Are they going to replace EOD? I'm super sad I didn't buy EOD and now it's gone. Wait, I can't upgrade my game? If they had just announced we're adding a new edition of the game called Edge of Fartness and you get 28 additional stash lines, nobody would be mad.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, they're just separating the thing everybody wants and saying everybody can buy those things. Whether you're like, you don't have to go all the way up to EOD. You can have a base stash if you don't care about having an alpha and just buy the stash expansion. Nobody would be mad if they just called it, if there was just a new edition. I've been asked 100 times, do you think that they're going to replace EOD with something? And I was like, probably. I thought that they were just going to relist Edge of Darkness, call it something different, and just conveniently leave out the like includes all future DLC. You know what I mean?
So just as a point of reference, if you Google, will there be microtransactions in Tarkov, and you limit the search feature to like, because otherwise you're going to get all like the recent shit. So I did 2016 did 2015 to 2023, and there's like Natalino, Nikita, just so many times, and they always capitalize. There will be no microtransactions ever in Tarkov. So that to me, listen, here's the thing. For fucking years, I defended them. All the people saying, blah, 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 there's going to be microtransactions. And I said, listen, I'm taking them for their word. They said there will be none.
For sure.
And now that there are, I feel I'm just annoyed that I bothered fucking defending them.
Yeah.
For any of the shit that I've defended them for, because it's, you know what I mean?
Is the most like that, like, I can get behind that. I don't care when people tell me that, like, because they're selling stash lines, we're going to have, Post Malone skins in a year. I'm like, whatever. Whatever. But that I can understand because they did say that, right? Like, there's no denying that. They said many times there will be absolutely no microtransactions in Tarkov.
This game is simply buy the game and play it. After that, you do not spend a penny unless you get DLC.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't really care personally. I think the stash thing, you've always been able to buy extra stash lines. The clothing thing is a little weird, but we'll see. Dude, listen. The true nugget is I don't care. Maybe a year from now, there will be a Mountain Dew sponsorship, right? And everybody will be like, "Oh, we were right." Maybe. Like, I'm not saying that's not possible, right? Like, for the exact reason of what you're saying right now, it's not worth me sticking my neck out there and being like, "No, man, he said that this is all they're gonna do." It's like, maybe next year they'll be like, "Dude, Jack Link's beef jerky skin in Tarkov." Maybe everyone's. Oh my God! If I had a freaking nickel for every time I've heard the term slippery slope, man, slippery slope, the door's open, slippery slope, it's a slippery slope, dude. Maybe you're right. I don't care. That's what I'm saying, and I'm not saying it's crazy that you care, because like you said, you've kind of stuck your neck out.
See, I don't care because I don't think it has any gameplay implications.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing.
Yeah, which makes sense because you defended the fact that they said. So we'll just see, man. It's funny. Oh, I knew that there was something. The only thing I do kind of care about is I wish they would just give everybody access to offline co-op. That feels like that is the one to me that feels a little weird. Bro,
I went in. Remember how I told you that I went to customs to film some offline shit for like a potential thing? Because I was playing Arena on my alt account last. I launched Tarkov on my alt account, which that was a standard account.
Yeah.
And I couldn't change any of the fucking AI settings or like you could turn them off.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the weather stuff I was trying to do.
But,
it was like only, and I'm like, why would they gate these
That's
fucking
the one
features?
That feels weird.
God, that's so fucking stupid.
Yeah. That's the one that those are the ones that feel weird. But what if they sell clothes that are blatantly better camouflage? That's pay to win. Sure, man, whatever. I don't care. We'll see when we get there. Once again, there's no cash shop in the game right now where you can buy ghillie suits and you can't earn them in game. Maybe, and if it gets there, if you can buy the Harry Potter invisibility cloak for cash, sure, let's get mad about it. But
maybe that's what they were testing with the last update.
Yes, invisible players are coming back because it's gonna be a Zerachi service, an invisibility amulet.
You're a wizard, Vladimir.
You're a wizard, Vladimir. Oh my God. What I'm saying is just that, like, let's not get mad about something we made up until it happens. That's what I'm saying. If they sell that junk, I will be on the front of the picket line. I'll be there with you. But until they do, I don't care. If they just sell the clothes that are in the game, whatever. I don't care. But me not caring is not denying the fact that they did say many times over the years that they wouldn't do it, and they are doing it. That is true, and that sucks. But I just don't have the mental capacity to be like Twitter mad about it. It's just like, oh, okay, and then I guess it depends.
I agree with you. It depends on what people are saying and what their motivation is.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us, potentially as a community, to let it be known. All right, if you're gonna do this, you better fucking not do this, this, and this, because otherwise, what? I don't think you're doing this, but we need to be careful that we don't say, let's not say anything or give any feedback, because we'll find out. It's like we can prevent. If no one said anything about recoil, they wouldn't change it. Maybe you could have said, well, maybe it was a bug. Let's wait until they revert it, and then 4 months go by and it's still in the game and it's
That's
too late.
Great point. That's a great point. And that's a great.
Just be a normal human. Don't be a psychopath.
Yes, that's a great point. I think. Thank you for saying that. I think I have a tendency to overcorrect to the really short fuse that the internet has, where it's like microtransactions. Oh my God, literal piece of shit devs. I hate
Hire
them.
an assassin.
Nicki Minaj is coming into Tarkov. And I reject that and I push the pendulum back and I'm like, dude, shut up. We'll just deal with it when we get here. And I think that's a really important point. We can and should, as consumers, voice our opinion on what we don't want and what we want in the game, even though we'll disagree about some of those things. So you're right. So some of this pushback to the microtransactions, you actually honestly changed my mind here just with that statement. I do think some of this pushback is good and healthy to kind of keep them in check, or at least, sometimes people are just going to do what they're going to do, but maybe we can let them know, like you said, that like, hey, these are lines you really don't want to cross or we're going to freak out. I just think how we do that, and you obviously agree and said the same thing, is really important. Be a normal person about it. Don't fly off the handle and start basically making up things that haven't happened yet and then being mad about them. But that is a really good point, and I need that reminder sometimes to not overcorrect and understand that the criticism can be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, imagine there's a world in which, and I know this is going to be hard, imagine a Reddit post, right? That was an open letter to Nikita and BSG. Hey, we see you want to introduce microtransactions. Please don't introduce these kinds of things. Be smart about it. Maybe, whatever, ask the community or whatever, right? Just like pump the brakes, think about it. We're okay. We want you to make money because we want you to continue to make the game great. And we want to give you the resources to do that. We're cool with it. Just, right? That's like a fruitful, valuable way of giving constructive criticism and feedback that isn't, okay, I'm now Googling how to go on dark web and hire assassin for Russian development, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Because that's what people are doing on Twitter. And
for sure.
Again, we need to not be on extremes.
For sure. You're absolutely right. And I think it's good that they're adding the ability to increase the stash that you can purchase in game. I imagine that that's just like you start as an EOD with your hideout stash level 4. I imagine that you'll just start at level 4 and they'll be like level 5 and level 6 and level 7.
Can you like infinitely buy? Like literally, here's the deal. I would, and this is like, no one should say this, but I'm just gonna say it. I would literally just keep buying more stash space so that I could store all of the shit that I want.
Yeah.
And have it be like, here are all my quest items, boom, at the bottom with like 5 rows of empty space so that it could be nice and aesthetic. I would pay like $5.
Yeah.
Every time for that, over and over and over and over and over again throughout a wipe, just to not have to deal with the bullshit.
Yep. That would be oof. Oof.
No one tell them that.
Yeah, no one tell them that.
It's a good thing nobody watches these.
So so we'll see. We don't know when that's coming. We don't know how that's coming. We don't know how expensive the 28 lines are going to be. I've seen a bunch of people like making stuff up. Like I've seen some people say like it's going to be $10 a line. And then I legitimately had people come into my chat and be like, dude, it's crazy they're charging $280. And I'm like, dude, like you got hoodwinked, bro. They have not.
It was Batter State Games.
Yeah, dude,
probably,
$1 per square. You know what I mean? Oh, God. We don't know how much it's going to cost. What we do know, Chad, I'm actually going to need to lean on you because my account is EOD. They did a tech update today to the website, and they added the ability to purchase the offline co-op. I think it's $11.
Shut the fuck
I think it's
up.
$11.
Bro, that's too much money, man.
I agree. Well,
it should be $1.99 maximum,
Yeah.
and that's pushing it, bro. It's a feature that's already implemented.
Yeah.
It's
what sucks is it's a feature that's already implemented. It's a feature the community wanted for so many years. It's a feature they literally did for the community and only gave it to EOD under the guise of like, we don't want our servers to be too like overloaded, and then they're selling it for $10 or whatever. So that is the one that's for me is like, I wish they just gave that to everybody.
If anybody listens to any advice ever in the history of the world, this is the advice from me that you should listen to. Don't spend $13 on this bullshit feature. Spend $14 and buy Outer Wilds. It'll change your life. Play it all the way through and don't watch a trailer on it. Yeah. Don't fucking spend $13 for offline co-op. That's asinine. Don't do it.
Yeah. I think it's $10, but yeah, I don't know. It that was the one. That was the one for me.
You know how many games you can buy? Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. So that's that stuff. That is that stuff. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I really did kind of sit in the middle on this one. I genuinely understand they said they were never going to do it. I genuinely understand a kernel deep in there where like almost every game company, every game genre, every IP, every time a developer has said we're never going to add microtransactions and then they do, there's so many pay to win games. There's so many really just like sleazy. There's so many like we said, freaking, Marvel integrations into games that I did understand some kernel of the frustration because it's just like, it feels like, I don't know, this could go crazy or whatever. But once again, 90% of the things they said they were going to add, if they had just released a new edition of the game that included those things, I don't feel like anybody would have been mad because people have been like wanting Edge of Darkness back. So like, I just kind of sat in the middle and was just like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. I'm not here to say that anyone's opinion of it is wrong. Feel your feelings, but I had just got done talking about how I was trying to not let Tarkov get to me, right? It's like I have EOD, I have the big edition, I think that's where I'm at. It's like, I think there are valid arguments everywhere that I hear. I think there are arguments that are silly everywhere. Like people in chat, people I talk to, people on Twitter, all three of those places, I've seen good arguments, I've seen silly arguments. And I just don't want to let it, I just don't care. I just don't want to let it like make me mad or I don't want to the last thing I want to do about this is like get into an argument with somebody in chat. It's like, that sounds like hell on earth. I'd rather just be like, sure, man, like do your thing. Buy it if you want it. Don't buy it if you don't want it. Stop playing the game. If you think that they crossed like an ethical line or whatever, like I can see how you would think that. But I just I don't know. I just can't be, I just don't care that much.
Can't be arsed.
Can't be arsed. Now, and like I said, if they go crazy with it, I'll be on the front of the picket line, I'll be at the front of the riot, for sure. So that's the Tarkov stuff. I don't think anything else really happened. I hope that they freaking bring this patch back, dude, because like, goddamn, some of the stuff was good. They increased the boss spawn rates, which is nice. That's pretty much it. That is pretty much the Tarkov stuff. And before we move on, I do want to take a quick second and thank the second sponsor for the stream, for the podcast, for this episode, and that is Factor. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. Wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals delivered straight to your door. Factor's great. We've worked with them before. Delicious food. It's nice having, for me, I literally did it today. I had to put on a YouTube video and get up and go make food because I was starving and I didn't have anything and I hate it. I hate leaving the stream, having like pre-cooked stuff that I can just microwave for a few minutes and have a delicious meal with veggies, protein, carbs, ready to go. It's freaking nice.
Bro, I'm still mad at my wife. Ate all the breakfast.
How could she?
Oh God, dude, I've been absolutely loving the breakfast stuff, man.
Yeah. That's super nice because I never make breakfast for myself.
I know, like
it's even when I'm not streaming, I don't.
It's too much work.
Yeah.
And to like cook anything unless I'm making like Eggos or whatever.
Yeah,
but this is just like so much better than anything that any alternative that you have that you can make as quickly and easily as anything that Factor has.
Yeah. And you can't make it as quickly. It's like 3 minutes. It's ready to rumble. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
For sure. It's great because you have over 35 different options a week to choose from, which is insane. You can choose what you want: calorie smart, vegan and veggie, keto, protein plus. It's awesome. 2-minute meals. What I love about we've tried several of the things now. They have like outside of the meals, additional stuff that you can add on to each box. Snacks, smoothies. Their smoothies are delicious. They have these little I forget what they called them, but they were little like shots of like, dude, tons of stuff. They taste crazy, but like it's got a ton of stuff. I eat like largely cardboard. I eat like Doritos and pizza. So getting like actual vitamins and minerals into my body through those things was nice. So they have a lot of like additional stuff that you can add on, which is pretty sick as well. Super flexible. You can get as many meals as you want per week. You can get them on a specific day. You can take a week off. It's great. No prep, no mess. Factor meals are 100% ready to eat. So you can head to factormeals.com/podcast50 and use code podcast50 to get 50% off. That is podcast50 at factormeals.com/podcast50 to get 50% off. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this episode. So outside of Tarkov, not a whole lot. Nothing has happened in Arena, and I don't as far as I know, no patches. I don't think you've played. I haven't played. Nothing really to talk about there.
I heard that like now it's just every game is a 4-man, 5-man squad, all running wristies, and it's just like not fun.
Still excited. I think last week we talked about a lot of the changes that they went over. Still just as excited for those, but I think until they come in, neither of us are going to be playing a whole ton of it. When Tarkov went down for the rollback patch, because they did that much later, I hopped in with Deadly and Valiant and we played a little bit of Helldivers too. Have you seen anything?
Yeah, how did that go? I saw a little bit of it. And it was one of those games that's like, from what I looked at, it was like one of the things that like I wasn't really super into the vibe of like a PvE. Isn't like kind of isometric, like third person over the shoulder. I think the Helldivers 1 was an isometric game. Oh, okay, yeah.
And Helldivers 2 is a third person.
I don't know why I said isometric,
but it's so I align with that. I watched because everyone's playing it. Like I have like Tarkov people that I watch, and then I have like variety people that I watch. Right, like I watch a lot of Sequisha because he's always playing like whatever the new game is, and I love
whatever he's playing.
100%. Sequisha's great. And so like I saw Sheriff Eli and Sequisha and Sacriel playing Helldivers, so I like checked it out, and it looked cool, but like I didn't really have any desire to play. But Tarkov was down, and I was gonna play Tarkov with Deadly and Valiant. But Tarkov was down and they were playing. And so I just bought the game and I was like, all right, let's play. Dude, it's so fun. It's one of those games that like actually, and Deadly actually brought this up, where he was like, it's one of those games that's way more fun to play than watch. And Tarkov is kind of the opposite. Like Tarkov is a game a lot of people almost would rather just watch and vibe with the streamer. And Deadly
Yeah,
was
yeah.
saying, Deadly was like, I probably have like 1 or 2 more streams of this before people will be like, but he's like, I could play this forever. And we played for like 2 hours and I saw it. I was like, yeah, I was watch this and I didn't really care, but playing it is like so much fun. So much fun. It's
Interesting. I don't understand. Like, I swear I watched maybe 20 seconds of gameplay. It was
Okay,
literally I saw killing some like Starship Trooper alien things, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I guess that's all as much as I need to know about it, which I'm sure is stupid, right?
Yeah.
You can't watch a game for that long. It was kind of like, looks interesting. Maybe I'll look into it if a bunch of people
Yeah.
tell me it's worth it, you know.
So the setting and the vibe are hilarious. It literally, as far as I understand, like the people that made Helldivers did it like with Starship Troopers as inspiration. Like it's not in that universe.
really?
Yeah, but it was like it was taking that idea of this like taken too far
I thought it was Starfield for a second.
democracy, patriotism, like the whole thing is like what you're doing is spreading freedom and democracy. Like like when there's a planet, all the missions that you do, the planet has % liberated. Like you're liberating the planet. And like
Hell yeah, dude.
like the you get to pick your ship name, and like the Pep's ship name in game, you pick from a bunch of different things. Like there's 2 wheels you get to pick from. Pep's ship name is the Fist of Family Values.
Oh my god. I'm picturing, dude, I'm literally picturing like an Afghani village, completely rubble, burning,
Dude.
and an American soldier standing next to a flag being like,
That is the exact vibe of the game, dude. Mine is the Legislator of Liberty. That's my ship name.
Jesus Christ,
dude,
that's so not funny.
It's so funny. And so like the voice acting while you're in a mission, like they're just like yelling about like freedom and stuff like that. It's like, in the game, as long as you complete the objective, you don't have to survive. It's called like when you die, it's like mission complete, and it'll say worthy sacrifice. Like you surviving is of no consequence. It doesn't matter. It's just, did you liberate? Are you spreading democracy?
oh, dude, you get like fucking. There's some dismemberment.
Oh, it's crazy. So the setting of the game and the vibe of the game is awesome. It looks beautiful. Some of the environments, like watching it, it looks a lot less beautiful than playing it. When you're playing on your monitor, you're like, oh, this looks dope. The gameplay is
gorgeous, yeah.
basically like you select a mission, and the mission, it's like getting, the difficulties scale insane, by the way. We played some of the harder difficulties just for the memes, and it was hilarious.
Is it like wave based kind of like COD Zombies esque, or
kind of? You like spawn into a map and you might have certain objectives. You might need to like just kill a bunch of things. You might need to like close off where these like bad bugs are spawning. You might need to go like steal some tech. You might need to go radio this thing. You have a bunch of objectives, and the enemies will just keep coming until your objectives are over. They never stop. But the gameplay is like you like complete missions, then you get this currency and you buy like abilities that you can use. And like, dude, one of the abilities you get first just to like sell you on this game is called, you can call it an orbital strike. And so you basically like select orbital strike, type in like a passcode, and you throw like a grenade, and then the grenade shoots a line up to the sky, and in like 6 seconds, just like a laser comes from heaven and just like eradicates. And it was like, I just had this insane moment where I forget what they're called. I think they're called like wraiths or something. It's this huge spider, probably to scale of you. It's got to be like 100 feet tall, this huge spider, and it walks really slow. And I just one tapped it with the orbital strike. Deadly had one that was a napalm strike. And legitimately, dude, you throw it and your entire screen is just fire. And you can just kill hundreds of enemies at a time. They're constantly coming in. You're calling for resupplies, other weapons, mounted machine guns. The gameplay is just chaos, guns, shooting, and it's like so meant to be played with friends. Like if you got on with like Mod Squad, some of the homies from chat, and just like played, it's just hilarity, chaos,
Bro,
super
seeing you,
easy.
like, dive onto like your back, and just like,
Dude.
like, dude, this is sick. Actually, this
Friendly
looks fucking
fire,
rad.
friendly fire is on. So like the first thing we did when we dropped in was like deadly orbital strike me. I was just amongst the people that he orbital striked, and I just like blew
And were you
up.
just like liquefied?
Yeah, and then you can like call in a respawn. You have like a certain amount of respawns until the mission's over. And then when you complete your objective, you call in an extraction, and you have to defend your extraction for 2 minutes, and then you hop on and you get out and you complete your mission and get your currency. And it's like, it just feels, it's just good. It's just hilarious. It's fun.
Is there like
It's
enough
chaos.
progression that you think you could somebody play this for like 3 months every day on stream and like,
I don't know.
Do you think is it early access or what's the deal?
I think it's out. I think it's just a release game. It might be early
Okay.
access. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. There's a lot of like upgrades that you can buy, and there's lots of missions, and it's the difficulty scaling that like makes it fun. Like being able to beat the level on like impossible difficulty or something is just a completely different vibe. I legitimately only played it for like the 2.5 hours before Tarkov came on, so I don't really know. But it just, I watched it, I didn't have that much interest, and I played it, and I was thinking, I was like, dude, if I wasn't like a streamer, like if I wasn't streaming Tarkov a ton, like this is absolutely, there's 9 levels of difficulty. It's not just like easy, medium, hard. There's 9 levels of difficulty, and tons of progression.
Is it like diversity? Because I have to admit, what I am seeing, it looks like the same like 3 bugs.
There's I think 3 enemy factions. There's robots, there's bugs, and I think there's and then the harder difficulties throw like bigger. So like you see those 3 bugs on easy, but then on like the medium difficulty, there's like crushers, which have all this armor, and then at the other, it gives you like more of the big like monster ones. And I think it's the same thing with the robots, and then the variants is the other thing. So there is that. It's cool because like there's some sort of like you can kind of see what other players are doing. Like if you're dropping in, if you see other people dropping in the distance, like that is other people going into a mission. The whole player base contributes to like how liberated like a planet or a section is. You know what I mean? So there's like a little bit of that. There's no PvP. It's just PvE. But like I've seen so many hilarious like TikTok edits to like Black Betty or like Thunderstruck, because the game, it's just like if the intro to Thunderstruck was a video game, this is it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That what you just like how much the intro to Thunderstruck makes you want to punch a hole in drywall. That's what this game does when you're playing it. You just want to drop kick something every time you complete a mission.
It's like what's that song? Oh my god, why am I forgetting the word? Something Sun.
Oh, Fortunate Son.
Fortunate, like but
yes,
that like the Vietnam era rock wouldn't quite fit, which is why like I feel like Thunderstruck is better because it's like it has to be a little like 1 decade or at least newer in terms of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I feel you.
But the same vibe where it's just like fucking rock on. Yeah.
Yes. So like I would say I only played it for a few hours, but even with just that, if you're on the fence about it, I would give it the hard recommend. And as a streamer, as a content creator, if you're ever like, I really don't know what to play today, and you can throw together just 2 or 3 homies to play it, I would recommend it.
If you are gonna play at any point in the near future, let me know.
Okay,
and I will 100% buy it and play.
It is.
I'm so like in my own little silo because I just always play. So like I don't know who's playing and when.
I feel you. I feel you. But it was it was just and it was another like correct me if I'm wrong. Was it an indie studio, chat? I saw a tweet that like it was like Pow World and Shrouded and Helldivers were all like indie games that are just like S tier, like super positive reviews. Everybody's really enjoying them. And then you have like, Starfield and Modern Warfare 3 and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, damn.
I heard Starfield is coming to PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Which was like, wait a minute, wasn't it supposed to be an exclusive?
Yeah,
I
Microsoft
thought, like Xbox. So like
was saying
Microsoft is probably like, never mind, we don't want you anymore. Like
Microsoft was saying something about how like they want to release more games on PlayStation. Yeah, and then Starfield might be on that. I don't know. Oh, yeah, and then I did play Enshrouded a little bit too, which was fun. Did you play Valheim?
No.
Okay. I played Enshrouded. Enshrouded felt like that was a lot of fun too. Enshrouded felt like Valheim, but more emphasis on like combat and like RPG. Like the skill tree for Enshrouded was like there were like 130 skills to choose from. Like it was almost like a super small Paragon board or like a PoE thing, super small. But Valheim was like 99% survival, 1% combat, whereas Enshrouded. So like that was super fun. That was super fun as well. I only played a few hours of that, but yeah, I don't know. It was Helldivers was pretty sick. But that's the only other thing that like I had going on in my gaming world this week.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? I think that's pretty much it. I played like under NDA, but I played a game like early access. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
Other than there are lots of elements that would appeal to our audience. And I'm going to be doing a video, kind of like a review video. It's a kind of a sponsored thing.
Nice.
But as always, it will be like full on, totally 100% honest.
For sure.
Like, yeah, it's one of those deals where it's like the only thing you have to say is like wish list the item.
Yeah.
Like, and otherwise, say whatever the fuck you want. And that's pretty much the only time I'll ever like do something like this.
Yeah.
That'll be out probably like next weekend.
Hell yeah.
The weekend after next. It seems like an interesting game. Had a lot of fun with. I don't even know if we talked about it or not.
I don't think so.
I'll actually send you the name of it if you haven't seen it. But like I said, I don't know how much I can say.
Yeah.
Or what, but yeah, so I guess keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
The review, my review will be out in 2 weeks, not the game. The game right now, we had like a closed alpha.
So yeah.
I actually played with one of the people. I don't think this is a part of the NDA of who I played with, but the guy who worked on Operation, was it Harsh Doorstop?
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Is that Big Fry?
No. Well, he might have. He
no,
might be related,
he's making
but not
Transients. Blue Drake or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a couple of funny moments where he's like, "You better not kill me," Like, no,
that's awesome.
It was fun. But yeah, I just sent it to you. So I don't know. That's something to look out for. Something a little bit different. I had a lot of fun, and yeah. Otherwise, I really don't have much of anything. Like I said, I've just kind of been on autopilot, sort of vibing, trying to like get excited about something again.
Yeah, I feel that.
Just kind of waiting to see, So
I feel that. I do. Yeah, I'm like I'm rejuvenated to like do. I have a lot of cool, fun content I want to make for Tarkov. Like, today was a really good day of Tarkov, and I just like feel rejuvenated because I really want to be making some content. But there are also some things I'm super excited for. Like Gray Zone still Q1 is what they're shooting for. So to get even a beta, just a play test, like just to get in there and temper the expectations. If I can just get in there and see like, oh, okay, it's gonna be one of these games, and just like figure it out. Because I'm super excited for that. And then Star Citizen has a huge patch coming up in the next few months where most of the stuff, because we talked about like late last year, they did their con and they were talking about the single player game finally went to like feature complete, and a lot of that stuff that they basically they're finally porting a lot of their devs over to Star Citizen. There's like a huge patch coming, so much excited for that. So that's really it outside of Tarkov that I'm keeping an eye on. When does Stalker 2 release?
Oh, I don't know.
Like September?
Never really got into Stalker. Initial release date 2024. Well, that's fucking helpful.
I think it's September. April?
September, December, April.
Yeah.
Sick. Google says September 5th.
Okay. Interesting.
It was delayed again until September.
That one. So here's the thing. I never super got into Stalker. I know Stalker is the inspiration for like a lot of things. Like Tarkov was heavily inspired by Stalker, as in at least like aesthetic. I know that some of the mods for Stalker, like Anomaly and Gamma, are insane. And I know that there have been multiplayer mods for Stalker, but it's just hella old. And the new game looks amazing. So my cope for Stalker is that like new engine, new game, super fresh. And then the modding community is able to use a much better engine to create like an open world PvPvE Stalker game. Because I'm in on that. Yeah. I'm in on that 100%. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah.
Dude, I had the real quick, I had the fucking idea. It was one of those like wake up from a deep sleep with like an idea for a game. And I kind of want to fuck around with the concept as like, this is like the 9th game idea that I've had that I'm going to write 4 lines of code and then never do anything with. But dude, did you ever play on like Mini Clip?
Oh, yeah.
Or addictinggames.com, any of the mini golf games?
Yeah, for sure.
I want like there are a couple of games. One of them is a mobile game, but they don't do what I kind of wanted exactly. But like orbital golf. Ooh. Imagine like 2D. You see a planet and you like hit the golf ball and it goes and like.
Wait, why is that a genius idea?
Dude, wouldn't that be sick? Like, because then you could use orbital
golf.
Yeah, dude. Because it's kind of like, remember how I was talking about Kerbal Space Program and how you have like the orbit, right? And you do things to like change the orbit.
Yeah.
Imagine like you're a little space guy. I'm literally picturing you have like your EVA jetpack in space. Yeah. There's a golf ball and you're just like, and it's like around the black hole, around through Jupiter.
Dude, yeah, because like then the different like driver or like the different clubs would like change the
distance.
It's funny because we just spent like an hour, I think, on the Patreon episode talking about Kerbal and the gravity and all that kind of stuff. So that's why like that would make so much sense. Like that would be so funny.
And I've done that before. I actually worked on like a mobile game. I'm not going to be able to find it in this time period, but I've like literally done that simple 2D orbital kind of stuff. It would be
orbital golf. Oh, and we were talking about Top Golf. You didn't know what Top Golf was.
Oh, maybe that's why, dude.
Yeah, that planted the seed in your head.
Yeah. Huh.
That'd be sick. I'm in. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what's happening. If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, you can check out our Patreon, where you can get access to these episodes early and ad-free. You can get access to the first, I think, like 30 episodes of the podcast we have recorded, and get an additional episode of the podcast exclusively every week, about an hour-long episode. So you can go to patreon.com/thepogcastpod if you're interested in that. But thank you guys so much for hanging. Thanks for sticking with us and enjoying the content. We hope that you enjoy it and have fun. And we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.